Hi everyone, Jeremy here, back from Flatware Creations. Disaster averted, hopefully. This is part 2, and there we go. So I'm going to buff these guys that I have here. Some of them are really tarnished, so I'm just going to take them with the red rouge here. Another thing that I've used before that works really well. Where did it go? If you don't have a buffer, you can use this stuff called Blue Magic. It's actually a chrome polish for vehicles, for your car. This space is killing me. Where'd you go? And oh, there it is. I think you guys get a kick out of this. So this is Blue Magic. Let me make sure I got my for me, I don't even know what time it is. It's only 10:30. Hi Cheryl. Let's see, let me get this up here. Properties, figure video. Okay. Last night I was up till 3:30 working on my daughter's camper. Okay, here we go. Blue Magic Metal Polish Cream. Is that in the description? I just added from the prior video the 14-inch bolt cutters, hammer, sander. Nope, I'll have to add that one later too. Anyways, the Blue Magic, you can find it at Walmart, find it in most car areas. Yeah, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in the northernmost part of New York. So I'm a minute from Canada and 8 minutes from Vermont. So I'm right up at the top. The cool part about this stuff is it does smell, but it works really well. So normally what I'll do is I'll just dip my finger in here. So this piece is very tarnished. I'm just going to rub it on. And depending on how many I have, normally I'll just rub them on or toss them all on a plate or a pile. Yeah, it took me quite a few projects to getting the list down to so a lot of the stuff I've acquired over the years, so all of that is stuff that is what I use or the equivalent that I've found on Amazon. So it's only been a couple seconds. And that was just one wipe. So she's shiny now. And this will come off in the tumbler. So if you don't have a buffer, you can use this stuff. It works really quickly. But with my hand hurt the way that it is, I'm just gonna put them on the buffer. It'd be loud for a couple minutes, but I don't think I have a whole lot of them that I'm actually gonna have to buff out, because most of this will just come out in the tumbler. So like that one's definitely. So I haven't found that it affects anything. Soldering, I have noticed no difference. I've used them a few times for bird houses and things like that, the knife handles. And then going from the knife handles to a birdhouse or a bell, I haven't noticed anything different. I can do a test real quick. My torch is gone. Nope, there we go. Let's see. What can I solder together? Here we go. We'll solder these guys together. I'm like, now where'd I put it? I'll get you guys up a little bit higher. So these handles are going to be used for bud vases. I have an order coming up pretty quickly. So I try and keep a bunch prepped, ready to go. I have a bucket with probably, I think, another 150, 200 that I still have to cut the ends off. So that one's blue magicked. This one's blue magicked. All right, so blue magic on both. Let's come over here. Let's grab a piece of solder. There we go. Some rosin core solder. And a lighter. No lighter, so I'll use this guy. Flip my fan up. Glasses. Just grab some. There we go. All right, let's see if this works. Come on, you know you want a light. Crank some heat. So I'm not seeing any smoke. It's almost there. See if I can get that to pull through. So it looks like it's about normal. So these handles were still filled with something. So this solder has flux built in. It's rosin core solder. It's holding. So I'm going to say, no, it doesn't have an effect. Yeah, it's flux core solder. Get to focus on here. I get this at Lowe's. They have acid core solder also. Let me cool this piece down. Nope, not like that. Let's see. My headphones died. Get that dried off. Yep. Nope, that's on there. And I didn't do anything to take the polish off either. So I'm gonna say it works. Okay, where was I? So I was separating these guys. Switch headphones. Sometimes I have a hard time focusing. So I have to give my brain something to do while I do my work. Okay. So I'll bring you guys back up here. It should be focused. Okay. I'm like, it should be focusing. Why is it fuzzy? There we go. Uh-oh. I think my camera just lost. Come back to me, camera. deleting. Properties. Working now? Nope. Let's do this. Apply. Okay. Switch over to this camera. It's not the one we want. Sorry. Technical difficulties. For some reason it's not bringing up my camera. There we go. Awesome. Phew. Disaster averted. Get this up here so I can control the zoom or the autofocus. Autofocus is so crazy on this every few seconds. Bzz, bzz, bzz. Okay, so I'm separating these guys, and I've got music. So these I'm not gonna do. And like I said before, normally I would just toss all of these in the tumbler, and what came out. Normally it's just the really dark ones. What you'll end up getting is a shiny, tarnished. Yeah, it was. I was like, I don't want to have to stop the live stream. Yeah, it's funny, shiny tarnished. It's actually a thing. You can make pieces tarnished with liver of sulfur and things like that. But whenever it's already aged and you toss it in, it's just kind of it just kind of looks weird. These guys, this one, that one. And I think that's going to be it. The rest of these will tumble out. I was outside and I forgot my mask. All right. It's going to be loud again, and I'm going to be holding my breath for most of this. Okay. I was like, one more. You got one more. All right, here we go. I'm almost done. So this one's really tarnished. Normally, if that doesn't come right off, I gotta either move over to the other wheel or just put some of this stuff on there, let it sit for a minute. was almost there. Yeah, this stuff really works great. But it will definitely leave your shirt or cloth or whatever fully covered in all the patina, the oxidation. All right, now we'll start we'll get all these bent and tossed into the tumbler. And I will go get my Dawn dish soap for you guys so you can see how much I'm tossing in the tumbler. So I have focus. I have these different kinds of shot. So I have the little BBs, I have little ones that look like Saturn, and then I have the ones that are little angled pieces. If you have the pins, the pins will actually make your pieces, give them a satin finish, like a dull finish. So whenever you get this Frankfurt Arsenal tumbler, it actually comes with the pins because it's actually made for like brass casings for bullets, for polishing those up. They say it will hold like 200 and some odd come on, 200 and something rounds of I think it's 223, but I can tell you that it will hold a ton of rings. I think I had over 300 rings in here at one time. On average, well, every time I make the bud vases, I normally have about 50 to 55 in there, depending on the length. So it will definitely hold its own. Let me get that pin out of there. Okay, so many projects. Okay, make sure this guy's right. All right. So I always start with this, with the short side. Okay, here we go. What kind of shows are you going to? So most of this now is wholesale for me. We were doing shows, but between me and my wife's health, we just can't do them anymore. So I still get to create and make the pieces. But I'm just doing them wholesale for shops and stores. The way I started finding shows, whenever we started out, one of the biggest things was Facebook groups. searching for the word vendor or artist or what's the other one? Vendor. Those are 3 of the big keywords to help you find those things. And normally you can find them right in your area. We started out with sorry, come on brain, work. We started out with fire department shows, little shows that they put on at schools, $20, $25 normally was max. And that was nice because I was still building our inventory. So what we ended up doing was I started in October, and I was just trying to find something that I could do, because in the winter my back doesn't work a whole lot and my legs don't want to walk and all of that stuff. So I fiddled around with a bunch of things, and then I found the silverware jewelry, and it I tried 2 pieces. Well, I went to Walmart and I got 3 of the really flimsy spoons. Oh no, I got forks from Walmart. I think it was like $1. And I tried experimenting on those. I got on Instagram, or not Instagram, I got on Pinterest and I looked at a couple, and I just kind of copied that. And what I was able to do was kind of figure out that I had most of the tools to do everything. I had my vise already. I had a drill so I could drill holes and make earrings and things. And I'm kind of, if I can see it, I can figure it out kind of person. So what happened was I made a bracelet, and one of my daughters stole it. So my other daughter wanted one. This pattern, First Love, is really nice. Oh, I'm sorry guys, I forgot to turn off the autofocus. So I started, see how it's really thick right here? This one takes a little bit more effort to really get around. So this one I'm gonna go straight to here before it gets that really hard bend in it. There we go. So you still get a pretty big bend, but it's not as bad as it could have been. So I started, that was the first time I ever bent a piece of silverware to turn into jewelry. It was October. After I made one for my daughter, one of our friends wanted one, and I made her one, and I was getting better, figuring it out. And we had our first show in March. So just a couple of months later. And it was at a little, I think our preschool craft fair. It was really early in the year. And that kind of, we had a lady there really help us kind of understand how the shows worked and how things kind of went. She helped us figure out how to find local shows. So that was really great. So the Facebook groups really helps, especially with those keywords, vendor, artist, artisan. So I don't know if you saw that or not. Let me get you focused in here. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. Okay, if I turn the ring like this, watch right here. Sorry, guys. See the tip of this right here move? If I put the ring in that way, see how this is rotating over to here? If I turn it back this way, it will rotate to this side. So if it's not quite lined up for you, and whenever you're in front of it, you can see it. Now it's all lined up. So if it kinks off on you one time, you'll be able to put it back really easy. Bring it back just a touch. So as we were starting our shows, building inventory, I'm trying to build as much inventory as I can because I don't know how shows work. I don't know if we're going to sell one piece or if we're going to sell everything I've ever made. So I had a bunch of pendants. I had a couple of rings. Back then it was taking me like 10 minutes a ring because I was beating them to my will on my on a piece of come on, brain, work. I was using actually this mandrel right here. This is just an aluminum mandrel. And what I needed was a stainless one, but that's what I could get. That's what I had. And you can't see any numbers on it anymore. But I would use that and a piece of PVC pipe to bend all the rings, and I would basically just pound on them for about 10 minutes to try and get them round enough to where they would pass for a ring. So I had a few rings and the feedback was just amazing. We really, not that I got a big head, but it builds your confidence. I mean, when people see what you've done and they really like it, I mean, you're allowed to feel accomplishment because, I mean, you did that. You figured it out. You made it. You put in the work. So whenever I'm hitting this with the hammer, I just want to point out that I'm not hitting it so far that it goes all the way around. I'm just bending it over enough to where this gap is closed, so I don't have to go back and forth here, 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 here. So I can go just center on this side and it comes right around. So you don't want to bang on it too much. And after we found a couple of shows, we were kind of figuring it out. Every show we had somebody help us a little bit more, kind of figure out other shows and telling us about other shows that they did. So whenever you're getting information like that, make sure you write it down, because it's very easy to forget it later on. So to me, from my angle, this piece is pointing here and this one's pointing this way. So the same thing works. If you turn it, you'll turn everything back towards one another. So take notes, use your phone, make a notepad up, and you'll be able to remember those. And even if you can't quite remember everything, you have an idea of where a show is. And you'll always have new tips from people. We call them our show family. You'll kind of get into a circuit with everyone that you normally end up at the shows with. And the nice part about this, doing the silverware jewelry, is it's considered handmade. So the art shows that you can get in, say you sold the 31 bags or something like that, you can't get into the art shows. And the art shows is where you really start to make more of the money. Yes, sending out that check for $300 or $400 starting out. I think we did a show for, I think our first big show was like 150. It wasn't quite 200, but it felt like it. And so, for example, our first outdoor show, so the same year that we started, all of our sales from all of the shows that we did, which were all inside, those sales averaged about, for us, 10% of attendance we would make sales. So we got information on a balloon festival that had about 50,000 people in a matter of 3 days. So instantly I go into full 10% of 50,000 people if I sold just one piece to make that 10%. So I spent quite a few sleepless nights making product, making bracelets, finishing pieces off, just trying to get everything I can ready for this show. And I think we spent $250 to get into that balloon festival. But being our first show, we also, and it was outside, we bought our canopy, I made weights, so there was a ton of expense that we were out. But we're looking at a potential of 10% of attendance is sales, so theoretically we should make that money back easy. And I think I went, so when I started building for that show, I think I was like 250 pieces. That's all that I had. That was everything. 250 pieces. So I think I made it there. I think I had almost 700 pieces in the month and a half prior to the show. And I was I was wore out. The reason I'm hitting this spot right here is if that's up a little bit, it throws off your ring. It doesn't quite sit right. So you always try and get that one round. This top one will get rounded as we get closer to it. But what happened, so we had all of this money out for this show that we were so excited for, and looking back now, we should have been super excited. But whenever you're starting out, and this definitely isn't a fixed income or a guaranteed income of any sort, so everything feels like a risk. We had our first $1,000 plus weekend, and for what we put out, so if we already had the stuff and we just put out for the show, that would have been really great. But because of all the overhead that we put out, we weren't super excited about it. But we should have really just taken that moment and just enjoyed it, because I mean, we made $1,000 in 3 days selling silverware, and that's awesome. You put in the work up front, and then it comes back to you later on, and you find out that you won't hit 1,000 plus show every time. And sometimes we weren't hitting that until we were paying $300 to $400 for a show. But what you also got from those really expensive shows is a new clientele coming out of your bubble, as we call it. Because after your friends have bought a whole bunch of pieces, what's left is getting out of your bubble. And that comes with your reputation, getting your work out there, having people see you, giving out your cards, being friendly. You don't want to be that person that's toxic and everybody just avoid you. We've had people not buy from us but bring their friends to us just because we were polite. I mean, they liked our work too, but so see this one, I got it caught. So I'm just going to take my round nose pliers and just use them as a lever to just get that one over there. Squirt it up. And you can see a lot of these have that dead spot. I was talking about that earlier. We're going to fix that after we get these all bent. So for shows, definitely start with your Facebook, your local Facebook groups. Start out with the little $20, $25 shows and just kind of work up from there. One of the scariest parts for us was the first time we did a jewelry show. So a jewelry show, that is where whoever's hosting the shows, you pay in advance for the jury fee, and sometimes for the show itself. I think that was mostly after we did the first one. I think the first juried shows that we did, we were just paying the jury fee. So this is the scary part. You're trying to get into these better shows, but you have to spend money that you're not guaranteed to get back. So a jury fee is non-refundable. That's, you're applying for their show. A group of people, artisans, are judging your work to see if it's handmade and if it's something that fits in their show. So oftentimes you're sending in pictures, you're making new product, something specific to that show. Like there's a garlic festival and you make things that have to do with food, just kind of being thematic, things that you can make, but you don't get that money back. So a $50 jury fee for a show that you might not even get into. So here, take this $50 I don't have, and it's scary. And I don't think so. We did get whitelisted once. But we had done that show in the past, and there's something going on, but I don't remember what it was. But for the most part, we were able to get in. But getting that fee, putting that money out there that you don't have, because you're just starting out and you're trying to branch out, is pretty scary. So as we got closer and closer and we're doing a lot more shows, we were able to get used to that. And then once you get used to that, now you're kind of, okay, now it's a $500 show with a $50 jury fee, and it's 5 hours away. So you need a hotel, you're gonna have meals for the weekend. So you're $1,000 into this show, if not a little more. But at those shows, it's a different clientele than if you're at a fair or at the fire department. So a lot of times the people that are there are coming to spend money. And that part is really nice because you have the potential for meeting a whole lot of those people, and also being able to get future work. We always told them that we do heirloom jewelry, that we could take their silverware from their grandma or mom and turn them into wearable heirlooms. So we'd get business after that show for more silverware jewelry. So even though the show is over, we're still making money on it. And that helps generate more business to keep you going for another little bit. And we just we started out, and then my OCD took over, and I just started making things, and people would request things, and then that would be a new thing that we made. like our dogs. Our dog started. I made a cat that I saw on Pinterest, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I could make that. So I made the cat, and then I put my own spin on it. I actually made it with a collar. And I put a little Swarovski bead on the collar. There we go. So after I started making those, I was making a bunch of cats. Like, everybody wanted a cat. So one day, a friend of ours has a dog named Barnaby, and he's a schnauzer, and she calls me up and says, "Can you make my dog Barnaby? Here's a picture." I was like, and I looked at my wife and I said, "She wants me to make a dog out of a fork. How am I gonna do this?" So I sat down and I traced the fork probably 10 times on a page, just the head of the fork. And after I went around it a little bit, I tried doing it like the cat and it didn't look right, and I tried adjusting it a little other way, and finally I got it to where I focused on the beard and the head and the shape of the head. And I went in the shop, and I think the first one took me maybe 35-40 minutes. I had use of a hacksaw and a sawzall at that time. I didn't have my jeweler's saw, so and at that time I didn't have a bandsaw either. So I think it took me 45 minutes to an hour to make it. And I was like, okay, I think I captured it. And I sent her a picture, and she about died. And then somebody wanted another dog, and eventually I just started getting a ton of Instagram messages. You gotta watch out for your bar too. It starts loosening it up. Check your bolts here. Just make sure that they're nice and snug. And I would just get a picture of a random dog, and from that point, I think we're at 39 different breeds of dogs that I've made now, and discernible breeds, which is the hard part, because I mean, you can make a dog and say it's something, but if it doesn't look like it, you should be able to look at the dog and go, oh, that's a Schnauzer, oh, that's a Doberman Pinscher. The hard part is adding wrinkles to a fork is pretty challenging. I tried to make a English bulldog, and getting the jowls was just almost impossible for me. So I can do a pug. A pug has a very defined face, and you think it's flat, but it's actually not. The pug, their face slopes down, but with just 2 or 3 little lines. you can make the features of the pug's face just pop right out. Curl that little tail around, and poof, you've got a pug. But like a chow, it's hard to add fluff to a chow. I had a cousin that was a chow, and I would have loved to have made one, but I just can't add that. I've added texture through grinding and placing marks here and there to try and match people's dogs. Like it has a certain spot, or my sister-in-law, her dog had a heart on one of his legs, and so I made him, and then I added that little heart, and it's just those little features that really help make your creations stand out. But as for the shows, they're a lot of fun. Me and my wife worked shows, let's see, this would be year 6, I think. My 6th year since doing anything with silverware. Yeah, we getting to spend every weekend, or almost every weekend, together was great. And then COVID hit, and my wife's health had already gone down the hill really hard. I did the last 4 or 5 shows of the season almost by myself, and my body can't take that. I may look like I'm okay, but I'm not. So we decided we weren't going to do shows, and then COVID hit, and then that sealed the deal for us. So we switched basically to online, and I'd already been working the online route for a while, but whenever you're forced to do it because you can't do shows, a little bit more pressure. But I think the most fun, I don't know if it's fun. The thing that I enjoy most is the teaching aspect. Like being able to show somebody, or I had a high school senior do her class project. She wanted to make silverware jewelry for her project. So she actually came over once a week and kind of apprenticed and made her own stuff. And before that, I used to teach archery, so I already kind of knew how to talk to people. And I used to tell everybody, 20 minutes, 20 yards, I can get you a 2-inch group. And I'd only need about 5 minutes to teach their subconscious what they were doing right or what they were doing wrong. And kind of understanding how people's mind work and how my mind worked, to be able to show somebody something, what's going through my crazy head, and then adapting it for themselves. So being able to teach and show how to do this was, I really enjoy it. But my wife's like, you're teaching everybody how to do what you do. Which, yes, is kind of defeating the market I'm in, but I don't know how to not help someone, not answer the questions. So whenever COVID hit and we changed the format of the business, I got to teach, and I got to start making a lot more YouTube videos. And I have a whole bunch to come out. I have a whole bunch that I still have yet to edit. Editing the videos a lot of times takes longer than making the video. So coming up with those is so a secret, not a secret. The videos that come out that have my my intro, that video has been edited. That's the easy way to tell if the videos were edited, because they'll have the intro. That piece was hard, and it just spun out. So very hard. So I'm going to put that in a little bit further. So I ran it back about a finger farther, and I'm going to start my bend here, go down a little bit. So that bend that I did this side was to make it stop sliding this way. So now we'll hammer it. And that time I hammered it right to the edge. See how that rounded it out? There we go. Still very hard. And like I said, we'll fix that flat spot here. We're almost there. Yeah, I really like to be able to help and answer questions and figure things out. The design project, or part of it, is a lot of fun. The forkaroo came from a question somebody asked in one of the groups if they'd ever seen a kangaroo made out of silverware. And I know that at least one person from Australia had commented, but I had seen no yeses. So I was like, okay, I got a little bit. So from making an alpaca custom order, I was able to take that concept and turn it into a forkaroo. The cool part about having this as a business is you end up creating something, and your customer base, especially whenever you're starting out, is generally mostly family and friends, and you'll get the random order from somebody you don't know, and you'll have a party. But whenever you make something new, everybody wants it. So when I started making cats, I probably made 30 cats right off the bat that sold. Everybody wanted a cat. And then I had probably 4 cats. Come on. I had about 4 cats, and I held on to those cats for maybe a month or 2 before we sold another cat. But in that time, I'd made a few custom dogs. I was already starting with other projects like pendant sets, and at the same time I was working on my bracelet design, trying to get those numbers crunched and figured out. And so it was like 5 or 6 months before I even made another cat. And eventually it got to where I'd make 6 to 10 at a time, because I was having to make so much other things. I think at one time we had 40 different items that I was making. Just, I had assembly line 15 or 20, and I wouldn't have to make those again for another month or 2. So you do get to create and explore along the way, and the feedback that you get from the shows is always really nice. I mean, there are those people out there that aren't super nice, but you know how much work you put into that item. You know how long it took you to make the first one. So yes, you can make a ring in a minute, 2 minutes, but how many rings did it take you to get to be able to make that ring in 2 or 3 minutes? So your time, the effort that you've taken, and putting yourself out there. Ooh, that one's nice and soft. I like the soft ones. You gotta be careful because they like to twist though. So I'm gonna do that, and just a little tap like that, and then one tap on this corner, flattened it out. So it was up like this, now it's flat. And don't be afraid to play with your prices. There are some people I know who are $20 to $40 a ring. Some are 20 for 1, 30 for 2. And if you get stuck like this, like sometimes I'll get stuck here, I can't bring this around anymore. Bring it to where this is kind of pointed towards you a little bit, and whack it with your hammer. That's generally enough to be able to get it to come around. Yeah, but these rings, these are for wholesale. I have a bunch of bracelets I need to make wholesale also. And that's just the metal work, not the putting beads on everything or putting all the links in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The end of the pile is near, and then we can go through and fix them all. For me, the OCD was helpful, and and being able to see something. I did construction for a lot of years, building things and making, seeing a pile of wood turn into a house or a mall or something. I'm able to see the raw materials and see what they can be or what I'd like them to be. And I eventually get there. I was on Pinterest for maybe a month, probably less than a month, but and just looking at the ideas there, and then I ended up tweaking enough stuff to my design the way I liked it, and that was enough to keep me busy and get requests for different items. And once I got the requests, unless it was really hard to kind of imagine or see, pretty much everything else came out of my head or trial and error. But even the errors always added up to something. So you want to be careful with pieces like this, because it's super easy to just toss the piece in there upside down, because some of them have the pattern on both sides. So this one looks very similar to this side. So sometimes you'll have the words, sometimes you won't. So be careful of that. I like the engineering part of it, the trying to create something. How did I say it on my website? Having the vision to turn something, to create something from something that was never meant to be anything except what it was. Something like that. And now I get to make the videos. I get to help people online. I was talking with my wife today, trying to figure out, I've had some people request like learning how to solder, little ways to make things easier for them, and then they said they would pay, but I'm like, I'm happy just helping people. Not to say that I couldn't use the money, but I don't feel like a expert or something. But I guess the teachers all started somewhere. But I think that would be fun. Another way to help others. Okay. Whew. Time to hydrate. All right, now we're gonna fix all of these rings. So let's see, 74, I think. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38, 40, 42, 46, 48, 50, 52, 54, 56, 58, 60, 62, 64, 68, 66, 70, 72, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78 rings. Let's get you back here. Okay. So 78, 76. I have a horrible memory. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to fix them. So we're going to get rid of the big pin here. And I'm going to the next biggest pin. Line that up. So this pin is big enough to not change our size too much, but it's going to help us be able to get rid of the little flat spot here. This one's not too bad. Where I want this pin to touch is right here. I want it to be right here. Let me get that on camera. So I want the pin to slide down. I want it to be right here whenever it's in the block. So I'm putting it in here. You can feel it kind of touch where it stops. And then I'm just going to pull down just a little bit, and you can kind of see the ring move. And now it's round. So same thing with the next one. And you can watch it round. See, that one's okay, that one's okay, that one's okay. This one's got a little there we go, nice and round. Especially some of these thicker ones, a lot of times, so that got nice and round. A lot of times that flat edge there is almost guaranteed. So I just do basically the first one is a rough draft. You can just blast right through those. And once you get this part done, your ring is all round. You put it on the mandrel, and then you size it to whatever size you want it. But you want to make sure that it's round first. If you miss it, in all of the ones that you're making, the one that you missed just stands out. It's like, whoa, what happened to that guy? Let's see. There we go. That one's okay. This one is not okay. I like to have the pin, or the small part, yes, that's what I always told her. I always say that I can teach you to make a forktopus from the 2 forks. I can show you exactly how I do it, but yours is going to be different than mine. Every time we all put our own spin on it, we all put our own abilities into what we're creating, so that it's always different, similar but different. And I know she got that, but I think she's happier for me now that I can just enjoy the teaching part. Whenever you're going and you're squishing these guys, it doesn't take a whole lot to get that round. So you don't just want to smash it all the way to the bottom. That one's okay, that one's okay. So after you get these sized or shaped, that one just, the whole thing looks funky. Can you see that? It just looks weird. So I'm just going to circle it all the way around. Okay, so now it looks better. And the other nice part about the OCD aspect of this is I learn simple ways. I always called it being lazy, but it's just OCD. Trying to make it as simple as I can with the least amount of work and getting the best results I can. That's how I figured out this part of it, because I would sit there and spend a lot of time trying to get my rings round. And then I just played with it and did this one day, and poof, we have round rings. Consistent round rings. I'm surprised Gus hasn't been back in. This is like his, well, ain't a chair I sit in, it's his favorite spot, but that's a thicker one. I keep moving my block over to get it closer to here, so I'm not as far out on the pin. Gives you a little bit more leverage and pressure. That one's good, that one's not. So after this process, these are going to go in the tumbler, and I'll go grab my Dawn dish soap. I just get Dawn from the Dollar Tree. Just gonna put that one on the mandrel to fix. That one's round, that one's not. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I heard my bedtime timer. Yep, it's midnight. I have to have these ready for tomorrow. So the only complaint that I have with my tumbler is it's loud, and there's nothing I've found that can fix that. It's a beast, and it's worth it to me to be loud. I lock it in the bathroom. If I had a garage or something, I'd probably put it out in the garage, but I don't. So I put it in the bathroom and I lock the door. Thank you, Cheryl. So this one wouldn't go back on the mandrel or on the pin, so I just opened it up a little bit. So this one I'm gonna go all the way around with. It just had a funky shape. That's better. Good night, Daniel. Thanks for hopping in and saying hi. A lot of my big outside projects are hopefully coming to an end, so I'll be able to be back in the shop a lot more. I'm so excited with some of the stuff that's on my list. So almost every show, because we made so many animals, we get requests for other animals. So I have a bear on there. I have a whole list. Well, I have 2 lists from all the shows we ever did. I always wrote it down in my notepad. All right, that's a big guy. And when you're making those big, really hard pieces, try and get as close to the pin, to the bar as you can. If you're out here and you're putting that much pressure along it here, it's taking so much stress. But if you put it right here, you have 1, more leverage, but 2, you have less of a chance of breaking the pin. It rounded out. So I'm going to put this one over here, and I'm going to show you. I think we only have 5 left. There's 1. That one's good. That one's good. That one, it's a little funky. And 1 more. Okay. Whew. All right, let me unzoom you so I don't make you sick. There we go, we'll turn the focus back on. All right, so there's all of our rings. I'll bring you over here. I was soldering a ring the other day, and this is a Firestone but the water goes through it, and that got all over my anvil. So see, this ring is all funky. It's got kind of a funky shape. Where are you? There we go. Come on, focus. All right, so I'm putting this on the mandrel. See, there's an air pocket here. As I turn the ring, there's an air pocket here. There's always going to be that air pocket right there. There's just nothing we can do about that. But as we go around it, you see that big air pocket right there. The rest isn't too bad. So what I'm going to do is I want the air pocket right on the top. So now if we turn it, see, we have that one that's going to be there, and no more air pocket. So we got a nice little round ring. There we go. Trying to get it to go opposite of what I'm seeing. So let me bring you guys up here. Turn the focus back on. Let me go grab my dish soap, and I will be right back to show you how I load my tumbler. All right, so this is what I'm using. It's just Dawn Special Value. I get it from the Dollar Tree. This bottle has lasted me a long time. I'm just gonna bring it down here so I can talk to you. Don't need those, yay! So two of the biggest things with that I've been questioned about is the rubber lining in this. Because it's rubber, somebody mentioned that there's a possibility of the Dawn breaking it down. I've seen zero loss, and I called the company and they said that it should be perfectly fine and not do anything to it, so I use it. I've taken the hardest thing to tumble is these knives. Inside here you have all of the solder and whatever gunk is in here. It's all dark and nasty. You toss a whole bunch of these in here. You put in the Dawn dish soap and and you put it in the tumbler, and it comes out and everything is black and covered in oil, like a greasy black film. I figured out the problem and why that happens. So the Dawn breaks up any grease and the polishes, and these, I mean, these are all just grease type stuff. So the Dawn breaks that up, but if you don't put enough in, it won't break it up enough to where it gets off your pieces. So I tried an experiment, and I haven't done it in like measurement form. All I know is that if you put knife handles in here, you need a really big shot of the Dawn. Hi, Gus. Hi. I was wondering where you were at. So I'm going to take all my rings now, put them in here, fight with Gus's tail. I'm working, Gus. I'm working. I can't see. I can't see. There's a Gus in my way. Ring down. Can you get that? Can you get that for me? No? Okay. Alright, so... Oh, let me shut the autofocus off. I always forget about that. Okay, so I have all of my rings in here. Because there's not a whole lot, that's probably about all I'm going to put in. If it was knife handles, I would do just, I'd turn it upside down and give it a really good squirt. And so if you tumble your stuff, even if you use a smaller tumbler and you're using the Dawn, if your stuff comes out black, put in more Dawn. I've done it at least twice where I put in the same amount and they came out black both times. But one time I'm like, I'm just gonna fill this thing full of Dawn. Everything came out perfectly shiny, sparkling, everything. So that was the fix for that. Let's see, is that? We did the rings. Bye, Gus. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me. It is 12, 9, 12, 11, 10, 9, so 3 hours. 3 hours we did 76 or 78 rings beginning to end, and they'll spend the next 2 hours or so in the tumbler. It doesn't need that long. I just put it in there and kind of set it and forget it kind of thing. Yeah, I'm always happy to be sharing, and now that I take everyone along with me and help more people, it's really nice. So I saw today we're almost at 2,500 subscribers, so I still have a wind chime to make for the 2,000, but I need some ideas for what to make for 2,500. So if you guys want to leave me some of those in the comments, some ideas, some things, that would be awesome. And like I said, I'm looking forward. I have my whole shop here to get organized over the winter. My silversmithing and gold work is going to be done over there. I'm going to try and incorporate everything together to where I can have things kind of organized. Right now my OCD is just going absolutely crazy. There's just a pile of stuff back here. I kind of know what's there. I went to work on my daughter's ring yesterday or the day before, and it took me 45 minutes just to find the stuff to start working on the ring. It was like, but it's midnight, 12:15 here. Thank you again. I really enjoy all of your comments and getting to spend time with you. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you again soon. So I hope you have a great night. And let's see, where's the button?